Well, she includes a lot of different stories about her seminar. And the thing that's astounding is that every one of the stories is about how like somebody gets mad at her at the end, or somebody approaches her afterwards and like just like completely disagrees with her and still has the same viewpoint as when they came in. And it's like she more or less sells it in this manner that that's the intended result. So instead of being a total failure, that is evidence that she's actually like the whole concept of white fragility. It's real. And I must be some kind of fucking expert because my fucking seminars that are intended to somehow change people's minds on racism don't. It's just because white people are fragile. It's the most frustrating circular logic possible, and it's present in every single one of these stories. Like, it's basically like, I do a seminar, it's intended to make people act less racist, but they don't, and that's White Fragility. White Fragility is the name of this book, which, by the way, is essentially a brochure for my seminar, which you can, like, it's circular. It goes around and around and around and around.
The more people who read this book, the more will become fragile, and so it's kind of like be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But the whole book is white fragility. She is an embodiment of white fragility. She is white fragility, which is the irony of the situation, is that she embodies white fragility. This whole thing is just like a cry from the PMC class of like, please don't make us have to do anything. Please don't make us have to actually think about anything. Please provide us something that we can consume to signify that we are anti-racist, so that we don't actually have to grapple with race in any sort of meaningful way. It's bullshit.
The book is basically like a game tutorial for like sociopathic CEOs or something to read and learn how to appear to not be racist.
Yeah. Legally appear not to be racist.
Yeah.
I don't even like, okay, so it's all about how we as white people, as individual white people, can be more mature or be more mindful or be more self-aware, or it's not really about. So black people are overrepresented in the working class, like, ergo doing something that boosts the bare minimum of what a person can live at, whether they be poor or working class, would disproportionately help black people, or people of color for that matter. Yeah. That is not something that is acknowledged at any point that I've gotten to in this book. Although there is a chapter dedicated to acknowledging the important systemic aspects of it, which I would also say is a very rudimentary understanding of those things. That stuff is there as a signifier. To say the word systemic and have something beyond that, if you're vaguely question on what systemic means, like, that's essentially why that's there. And it's for you to know this stuff and be able to recite this stuff at work or in a situation where you might be required to be racially enlightened in some way. And then the concept of racial stamina and all of this like insane
bullshit.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, if you're working at a tech company and they're trying to give you all of this bullshit, just think about the process for a second there. Like, why don't you see many black engineers? Well, it's probably because less of the black community are able to get into colleges and do all those things, afforded those opportunities to go and on to be engineers. That's not because there aren't smart black people. That's because that there are fundamentally not those opportunities when they're gatekept economically via these fucking entrance fees and like fucking yearly fees for tuition and all of this shit. Like, this is how you talk about the actual system of how it represses people and the way that those material conditions inherently reflect the way in which people are like kept away from opportunities, and how their race plays a massive part of that. Like, it's not rocket science. Like, if you think about the problem remotely fucking like seriously for 5 minutes, like, you can kind of put these puzzle pieces together. And then when people try and just sort of then say like, oh, but as long as you're individually, you're a bit better with your racism, and you don't look at, you know that you're racist and you feel bad about it, you know, we're going to be okay. It's like, no, why don't we talk about all those fucking material things that we can just like clearly see.
But that's the thing that I'm afraid of the most, and the thing that makes me the most angry is that it's then going to be used to justify the lowly position that black people find themselves in. If individual white people are individually anti-racist and they consume all the correct anti-racist content, then why are you still in the circumstances that you're in? Oh, it must be because there's something inherently wrong with you.
Well,
And that's the thing. Reactionaries will do it too. They'll be like, oh, haven't you guys had a black president? Haven't they returned all of the terracotta skulls to Yoruba land? Haven't we done all of these gestures in order to make, and yet you niggers still can't get up and do what you're supposed to be doing? Oh, there must be something inherently wrong with you. Like, this stuff goes, it's supposed to reify hierarchy. What they're doing is reifying hierarchy by not actually addressing any of the material issues that cause these problems in the first place. Shifting the onus solely onto the individual is it's absolutely going to make things worse. It's going to make society more racist. And I'm afraid of what's going to happen.
Imagine somebody going into like their boss and complaining about some racial thing that their boss said. Imagine, like, that's terrifying as it is. But imagine going in and the boss is sitting there, leaned back, he's got his arms behind his head, relaxed. You're like, you did this thing and I found it to possibly single me out racially. And what this guy does is he just points up at a little certificate that shows that he has like level 3 racial stamina or some shit. Like, that's the absolution right there. Like, I'm not saying that that's what she's doing right now, but not even based on like anybody having like a racialized motive in any way. The market will lead us to that point.